Okay, so I didn't really want to ever tell this story for a variety of reasons that'll probably become very apparent very soon. But just so we're all clear, I mean, everything's been cleared up and it's all been rectified and everything is fine now. And this was like 8 or 9 years ago. So I figured it was, it was a good idea to tell the story because, of course, on YouTube, you can only really get big by either being kidnapped, being sexually assaulted with a toothbrush, or a variety of weird things. And I was thinking, do I have any weird stories? And yes, I have so many weird stories that I just kind of suppressed. I mean, there's a good life lesson in here, I think, for young people to learn. I think there's a lot you could learn from my story here. But of course, before I go on, don't forget to subscribe so you can hear more of my stories and crazy videos as I put them out. So as I said, this was about 8 or 9 years ago. I believe I was 19 at the time this story took place. Now, I had just come to Japan recently. I've been in Japan for about a year at this point. I moved to Japan when I was 18 for a variety of reasons that I'll get to in a different video. But I've been teaching English, and teaching English is just the worst thing you can do if you're any type of person with any kind of humanity or heart or soul or self-worth. Again, that's a different story for a different time. But I was teaching English and I was desperate to get out. I mean, I was so desperate to not do this for too long. So I was ready to take anything available. I wanted to take anything that was not teaching English. And so I was looking through ads and looking through, online ads and newspaper ads, whatever. And I came across this one ad. And it said, now, even as I think of it now, I remember it, and it's like, this is such a huge red flag. How did I not know this? But you have to understand, I was 19 at the time. I knew nothing about the world. I had no money, no prospects, and I was desperate for anything. So this ad said, earn up to $10,000 a month. It was all the buzzwords that like a 19-year-old kid would see and would be like, oh, huh, that's me. I'm self-motivated. I'm a hard worker. Yeah, I can do that. 10,000 bucks a month. Sign me up. Again, total red flag, but you have to understand I was young, I was broke, and I was dumb. So I go into the interview with a guy who would become my manager, and I talked to him, and turns out he had been there for a month. 1 month before me, he had joined, and now he was a manager. This is a huge red flag for anyone looking at any type of job, okay? If you're somewhere for 1 month at a job that says no experience necessary, and in 1 month you have enough experience to become a manager, you need to get out of there fast. The job itself, it turns out, was for a Forex company. Now, Forex means foreign exchange. It's basically a type of investment where you're gaining extra money by buying currency when it's cheap and then selling it when it's worth more later. So the company was basically split into two sort of separate groups, and one was run by this Chinese guy from China, one was run by this Chinese guy from Singapore, and they both didn't like each other, but they got along professionally type of thing. So the Chinese guy from China, he just had tons of gold rings, gold chains, like he had a super expensive suit and everything. Like he was just like a walking like DJ Khaled type of looking person. So they were looking for people like me, no experience, to come in and bring in or find a bunch of money and then trade that money as well. Just let that sink in for just a second. 19-year-old kid, no experience. Here, bring in a bunch of money, start trading right away. No training, no nothing. No legit company would ever do this, but well, again, like I said, I was young and dumb and I had no idea. And this is how they get you. I mean, red flags everywhere. I was desperate for money and they were throwing out words like 5,000 bucks a month, 10,000 bucks a month. There's a guy just down the road. He made $20,000 last month. Anyone can do it. And I was like, oh, I can do it. I can totally do this. Now, as an expat in Japan, you end up meeting other expats, other sort of people who have immigrated either temporarily or permanently to Japan. And among these groups of people, you meet a lot of executives. There's a lot of executives who, they work for Microsoft or they work for Sony, they work for something, the American office or whatever office, and then they get transferred to Japan. They end up getting a big expat package, basically, where it's like the company pays for their huge, like American size apartment, and the company doubles their salary, and they get all these benefits and stuff. So anyway, so after being in Japan for just about a year and a half at that point, I had met a few expats, and there was one in particular I became friends with. Now, I didn't know it at the time that I met him the first time, but turns out he was like a millionaire. He had come to Japan when he was like 20 something, and he and a friend of his had started like a business consulting firm. It had taken off. It was really popular. People ended up being very successful, and he made millions off of doing this. So I was like, okay, I just need to get some money from someone and start trading, and I can make 10,000 bucks a month. It's that easy. Spoiler alert. Nothing in life is that easy. Anyway, so I go to my friend and I tell him, I'm in this Forex company. I finally got out teaching English. I have the potential to get real money here, and I just need an investment from you. And he's like, how much do you want? And I was like, $100,000. I was totally joking. Turns out he was not joking. And he's like, sure, 100,000, all right. For trading. 19-year-old kid, no experience, no knowledge, no prospects, nothing. Here's $100,000, go trade it. So I brought in the $100,000 to the company, and they, I was like a hero. They were like, "Oh, dude, this guy's amazing. This guy's, we can really rely on this guy. You saved our team. You're such a wonderful." Like, I was just pat on the back, and my praises were sung throughout the office. It was great. So how the transaction worked is basically you would have one lot, and one lot was $200. And then every time you did one successful trade, I would receive about $30 from that trade. So it's like however many lots I traded would equal that times $30 for me. So therefore, if I trade 10 or 20 lots a day, I can get like, $600 a day doing this. And it's like in my head, $100,000 was an infinite amount of money. So there's no way I could just lose all the money, right? I mean, I was so desperate to hit that $10,000 a month target that arbitrarily someone had just put up on the thing. You can maybe sort of get $10,000 a month. And I was like, I'm gonna do that my first month at this job. And so in preparation for this, once I got the 100,000, everything like that, and I just started trading a little bit, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna strike it big. I need to push myself. I need to get myself in a situation where I'm always hungry. There's a fire under my butt type of thing. So I decided that it would be a genius idea to move into an apartment that was way expensive. At the time, I was living in like a little apartment that cost like $600 a month, and it was this real trashy, terrible apartment. And I was like, I want to live in an extravagant, like $2,000 a month apartment because I'm going to be earning $10,000 a month. And to push myself to do this, I need to, have this apartment. And it's like, oh, I have to pay for it, therefore I have to try harder. Like that was my thinking at the time. This, by the way, is a stupid thing to do. Never do this. I was so convinced that I was going to be rich that I moved to an expensive apartment. I was trading like $3,000-$4,000 every single trade because I was just convinced like the money's gonna last forever and I'm gonna be earning tons of money and life will just be wonderful serendipity. Long story short, in a week and a half, I lost all the $100,000. Gone. Not one of my trades earned any money because the thing is this, I didn't know anything about how to look at trends or how to play the long game and the short game and how to bet. Like I knew nothing. How could anyone fall into this trap? How could anyone be so stupid? But the thing is, when you're 18, 19, 20 years old and you have no money and you're just desperate to be rich and to have money and to be something, right? Because you see other people and they're rich. I saw my friend who was a millionaire and his house was offensively extravagant. And I was living in this like dusty, crappy, just piece of garbage apartment with cockroaches everywhere, And so I was like, $10,000 a month, I have to do it. I have to. So anyway, I lost all the money in a week and a half and I get called into the boss's office, right? The two boss guys. And they start basically just hustling me, basically threatening me. They don't directly threaten me, but they basically are. They're like, hey, you lost all that money. You need to get more money from this guy because if you don't have the money, like you're not a real employee of us and we lost all that money and that guy can sue us now. And if he sues us, then we're going to sue you and we're going to call the police on you because you lost all that money. And so we need you to go get more money or else, who knows what's going to happen to you. Kind of like that. And I was scared to death of this. Like I'm totally freaking out. I'm like Walter White in Breaking Bad season 1 level of just like, I don't know what to do. I just lost $100,000 in like a week and I need to get more money from this guy or else like I'm going to get deported or something. Like, I don't know what was going on. My head was just racing because they made it seem like it's like me losing this money was going to cost everyone their jobs and was going to cost everyone a whole, and I was getting like hustled and they were threatening me. So I go back to my friend and I explain everything. I said, look, I made a bunch of mistakes. I'm really sorry. I lost all the money. Now he was, you could tell he was kind of perturbed, but he wasn't like super upset. He wasn't like, you lost all that money, I'm gonna kill you. Like, it wasn't like that. But you could tell he was like, oh, okay, you lost all that money, huh? I mean, this guy makes like PewDiePie money, so it's like, whatever, no big deal. Anyway, so I promise him, I say, look, I need this or I can't make a living. And, it's like, I have no other way to go, no other roads to go down. I need this money. I'll be more careful. I'll trade one lot at a time. I'll just be more careful. And so we kind of we talk strategy. We talk, contingency plans, things like this. Like, if the lot goes, if the loss is going to be X% more than the value of the lot, then just cut the loss and run. So I agreed and he gave me another $100,000. Again, I mean, this guy is both a genius and just real dumb. I mean, why would you give $200,000 to a 19-year-old kid who's gonna tell you like, I'm gonna invest it in Forex. I don't know anything about Forex, no idea what I'm doing, but thanks for the money. So I take the second $100,000 and take it back to the company, and again, I am a hero. I mean, the bosses, they're just singing my praises, they're patting me on the back, shaking my hand. Everyone's like, dude, this guy's a star, this guy's a rising star, this guy's amazing, that type of thing. And I get called into their office again, and they tell me like I'm a very important team member because I can bring in lots of money. So they take me out to dinner. It's just me and these two bosses. And like, I don't drink at all, like I never have, and I never will. But these two guys start drinking a lot. They're like super happy. They're like relieved in a way. They're just like, oh, thank goodness this came in. And they're drinking a ton. And then we kind of start talking about the business. We start talking about like how leverage works and how the trading works and how the trends rise and fall and what's going on in current cultural events and all that. But then I guess they get drunk enough that they start explaining to me what the company is. And basically, they told me that the company is a Ponzi scheme. Now, for those of you who don't know, a Ponzi scheme is kind of like what you saw in Wolf of Wall Street, where it's like you take money from someone, you tell them you're going to invest it, right? And really, you're just keeping it for yourself. But you have to get money from someone else that you then take that money and you pay back the first person. Then you get money from a third person, you use that to pay back the second person, and it continues on and on and on. It's totally illegal, total scam. They didn't say it's a Ponzi scheme. They didn't say that, but they explained how it works. And like, we take their money and we do trade it, but really the whole point is just to keep money so we can pay ourselves, and we take a big cut of it, and then we're gonna use, what's ever left to pay back the other people. And so that's why we need you, Alex. You're bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you are an essential part of this company structure. And that's when it clicked, finally clicked. I mean, this is now about my second month at this company, and it finally clicked to where it's like, okay, this is a total scam. This is not a scam just like, like selling knives or selling nutrition drinks where it's like, oh, if you sell it door to door, you can do. No, this is a legitimate like international scam, like cartel level of stuff is going on here. Because the whole reason they were singing my praises whenever I brought in the money is because they would then use that money to pay back other people. And so I tried to leave the company. I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't really know what to do here. Like, the money's already in the company, but I need to get away from this because the longer I'm here and the longer I do this, it's just gonna get worse. So I try to leave. I try to talk to my manager, then he talks to his boss, and it gets back to the big bosses. I get called into their office again, and they're threatening me like more than before. They're like, you can't leave, you can't take the money. If you do, we're gonna call the cops and tell them that you're scamming people out of money. You're gonna get deported. You're gonna get arrested for life. Do you know how many years in Japan it is if you do financial fraud? And especially you as a foreigner, you have no rights. They're gonna chew you up, and your life is gonna be over. And I was like, again, I was 19 years old. I had no idea anything about the world, and suddenly now it's like I'm involved in this like international Ponzi scheme, and suddenly I'm like enemy number one or something. So I stayed on for a little while, and I was trading one lot at a time, just one tiny bit every single day. And they came to me and they said, no, you can't do that. We need you to trade more, because the more money you trade, the more money we can take and use, and there's a more potential for gaining more money, which we need to pay back our clients. And they told me it doesn't matter how much you lose, just keep trading. They would tell me like, if the company goes broke, if the company goes bankrupt, it's all your fault, and we're gonna sue you for bankrupting our whole company. So I kept trading and I kept losing, because again, I had no idea what I was doing. I would just randomly pick currencies, I would randomly pick buy or sell, and just hope it worked. So by the time it got down to about $30,000 left, gone from 100,000 to 30,000 minus the 100,000 from before. So now I'm in the hole about $170,000 to my friend. And so I was done. I mean, I couldn't go tell my friend. I mean, honestly, I should have, because he would have known what to do. But it's like, at the time, again, I'm 19 years old. I'm scared that I'm gonna get arrested or deported or killed, maybe. I don't know. I can't go to my friend because A, I've just lost about $200,000 of his money. And B, it's like, it's just really embarrassing. It's just like, to go to someone and be like, hey, I was talking about how I was gonna make $10,000 and I was asking you for money and we were talking strategy. Well, guess what? I lost everything. I was too scared, embarrassed to talk to him about it. So I just left. I just walked out. I was like, you know what? I don't even care if they call the cops, if I get arrested and sued, whatever. You know, maybe I deserve it. I felt dumb. I felt stupid. I felt really embarrassed, and I couldn't really tell anybody about it because, again, it's like I feel like, I mean, I did something super illegal, and it's like you can't just tell someone you did that. And I remember thinking as I was in my apartment, I was just like, why didn't I see any of these red flags? You know, right from the beginning, you know, easy money, no experience necessary, up to $10,000 a month. And it's just like, no, any job like that is a scam, or it's porn or drugs or all of the above. I mean, really, if something seems too good to be true, guess what? It is. Now, the catch is this, okay? Here's the catch. So when I had run out of money on the first time, when I lost all $100,000 the first time, they told me that they had to take my whole salary to compensate for the loss. Now, at the time, I didn't know this, but that was, again, they needed that money to pay back other people. They didn't say that at the time. And then the second time, I just walked out, right? So I'd received no salary. I paid no rent for 2 going on 3 months now. And so, of course, my landlord kicked me out. Landlord's like, hey, you can't live here anymore. Now, you know, the thing about being a foreigner in Japan, it's really hard to get an apartment. It's really hard to get stuff like anyway because no one trusts you. And so not only, you know, the whole like I'm a foreigner thing, but now suddenly I haven't paid rent in 2 months. And the landlord's like, you know what? You're done. You're out. Kicks me out. So there I was, no apartment, no contacts, no friends, no money, nothing. And that's how I became homeless in Tokyo. But that's another story. And so again, the moral of the story is this, okay? If you're young, you're 18 or like, you know, early 20s, whatever, just starting out in the real world, you're just trying to like earn a living, earn a job, whatever it is, let me tell you this, okay? Everyone will take advantage of you any way they can. Okay? Doesn't matter how. A lot of people will try to take advantage of you because you're young, you're stupid, you're desperate. Okay? This is how young girls get into porn. This is how young kids get into selling drugs and gang stuff, and all this stuff goes back to this, okay? So don't be dumb, okay? If something seems too good to be true, it is. Get a second, third opinion. Get a lawyer. Talk to your parents or anything, you know? Because it's like, I did none of these things, and look what happened to me. So anyway, thanks for watching this video and listening to my story. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like below. Above all else, have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.